President Obama has selected what appears to be a broad strategy regarding his foreign policy. You can call it generous offers of goodwill if you're inclined one way, or rank appeasement if you're inclined the other. But it seems clear that he believes that the best path for America is through cooperation with former adversaries, and that he is willing to lead the concessions, such as elimination of the Missile Defense Shield, and in fact the eventual elimination of all nuclear weapons, in order to get that ball rolling. Now, I and many others find this a very poor strategy. And that's not just plain orneriness on our part. There's a sound, virtually mathematical reason for it. You know, when speaking on foreign policy, President Obama often alludes to the idea that this administration of his resets everything, that everything has changed now that he's on the scene. Well, the one thing that doesn't change, despite the best intentions of the president, is a person or a nation's propensity to pursue their own self-interests. That law is as steady as gravity. And Barack Obama seems to be unaware of the fact that while he was organizing communities back in Chicago, a number of very bright people have been working on models of human interaction that very accurately predict how negotiations and relationships will turn out when people pursue, as they always will, their own self-interests. Often these are thought experiments, and the discipline of predicting results is called game theory. Now, one of the most famous cases in game theory is called the prisoner's dilemma. We and the president really need to understand this, because if we do, I think that many of our present troubles will become very clear. Here's how Wikipedia presents the case. Two suspects, unknown to each other, we'll call them A and B, are arrested by the police. The police have insufficient evidence for a conviction, and having separated both prisoners, visit each of them to offer the same deal. If one testifies for the prosecution against the other, and the other remains silent, the betrayer goes free, and the silent accomplice receives a 10-year sentence. If both stay silent, both prisoners are sentenced to only 6 months in jail for a minor charge. If each betrays the other, then each receives a 2-year sentence. Now, each prisoner must make the choice of whether to betray the other or to remain silent. However, neither prisoner knows for sure what choice the other prisoner will make. Okay, we can simplify this. If I betray you, but you don't betray me, I win very big and you lose very big. If you betray me and I don't betray you, I lose very big and you win very big. If neither betrays each other, we both suffer mild punishment. If we both betray each other, we both suffer medium punishment. Now, the prisoner's dilemma, therefore, is an analogy we use to test the results of how people treat each other. Now, if this game is played one time, the winning strategy invariably is betrayal, to screw the other guy. If you screw him and he doesn't screw you, you get off free. If he does, you serve 2 years. But if you don't betray him and he decided to betray you, you get 10 years. Nobody wants to risk that. Screw the other guy is the only smart position. And when you run the game thousands and thousands of times on computers, it comes out the very clear winner. Betrayal is the dominant strategy, but only if the scenario is run once. However, what happens if the game is played again and again and again against the same person? Does screw the other guy, this betrayal strategy, does that continue to become the best strategy? It does not. The best strategy for a repeating game, called the iterated prisoner's dilemma, is not screw the other guy. And surprisingly, at first glance, it's not always cooperate with the other guy either. The winning strategy is tit for tat. That is, you do to the other guy what he did to you last turn. If he cooperated, you cooperate. If he screwed you, you screw him back. Over thousands and thousands of computer runs using every strategy from complete aggression to complete forgiveness, tit for tat wins every time. That is, it results in the least bad outcome for you. Now, a man named Robert Axelrod examined this outcome in a book called The Evolution of Cooperation. And that word evolution has great power in this context, as we'll see in a second. Here's what Wikipedia said again. By analyzing the top scoring strategies, Axelrod stated several conditions necessary for a strategy to be successful. The most important condition is that the strategy must be nice. That is, it will not betray or screw the other guy before its opponent does. Almost all of the top scoring strategies were nice. Therefore, a purely selfish strategy for purely selfish reasons will never hit its opponent first. However, Axelrod contended the successful strategy must not be that of a blind optimist. It must always retaliate. An example of a non-retaliating strategy is always cooperate. This is a very bad choice, as nasty strategies will ruthlessly exploit such softies. Another quality of successful strategies is that they must be forgiving. Although they will retaliate, They will once again fall back to cooperating if the opponent does not continue to play betrayals. This stops long runs of revenge and counter-revenge, maximizing points. And the last quality is being non-envious, that is, not striving to score more than the opponent. Now, by running the iterated prisoner's dilemma thousands of times, we discover, strangely enough, that there is a natural island of stability that produces the best results. And it's not simply trusting everyone and being all cooperating all the time. That strategy is actually the worst because it rewards being screwed by competing strategies that eat it for breakfast every time. It's deselected. It vanishes from the gene pool, so to speak. You see no society like that in the real world, and now you know why. Are you listening, Marxists? It doesn't work. However, tit for tat combines generosity and toughness. And look at the terms used to describe the most successful strategic version of tit for tat. Nice, retaliating, forgiving, non-envious. You know, nice, retaliating, forgiving, and non-envious pretty much sums up how I feel about the West in general and the United States in particular. The web of trust and commerce in Western societies is unthinkable in the third world because the situation there is usually so desperate that short-term wins are the only ones that pay. It's a desperate cycle and it's very difficult to break. All right, now, here come the brass tacks. If you think about it, all of our laws, and indeed the very idea of respect for and equality under the law, are written to protect tit for tat, because tit for tat produces the best results. You may sell your product at a profit, but if you lie about what it does, we'll call that fraud, and you'll go to jail, because successful societies start nice, but they retaliate against those that decide to screw the other guy. The punishment of fraud is what gives us confidence in the claims made by other products. Retaliating against betrayal is not mean-spiritedness or a lust for revenge. It is essential to protect the confidence needed to stay focused on long-term wins. And that's how, in theory, you build a cooperative society. You retaliate against those that take advantage of the common trust. For example, let's say you're in a line of cars on the freeway heading for a high-speed traffic exit. The line slows. Now, a line is the most efficient way and the most fair way to get cars off the highway. First come, first served. But people are using the faster surrounding lanes to get to the head of the line and merge in at the last instant. When more cars end up bypassing the line than are actually waiting in the line, then being in the line no longer makes any sense. Cooperation flips to betrayal as the fastest way to get off the ramp. Since so many people are merging at the exit, the line now barely moves at all. These haphazard merges slow not only the exit lane, but they also slow the surrounding lanes as people decelerate to find a last-minute merge opportunity, and everybody loses. And your willingness to commit homicide increases perceptibly. The only way to stop cheating is to punish the cheaters. If you don't punish the cheaters, you will have an always cooperate society that produces consistently and rapidly the worst possible outcome because it selects competing betrayal strategies by providing them with what I can only describe as a food source. Which of course brings us back to where we started with President Obama and his foreign policy. Now, so far, you can say that he started out nice, which is an appropriate strategy for an advanced society with long-term goals and relationships. But if Iran is cheating, and this new enrichment plant, which apparently can only be used to produce weapons, certainly is cheating, then the president is faced with a choice. He can punish the cheater by retaliating, and remember, it's not punishment if it doesn't really hurt. Or he can continue to be cooperative, which will mathematically ensure that the betraying, screw the other guy strategy of Iran and North Korea, Russia, Venezuela, Cuba, Libya, and the rest of a small band of rogue state failures will have their strategies rewarded, and they'll continue to win at our expense. Now, most businessmen who are forced to survive in a competitive environment already know this. Whether or not a man whose defining experiences were formed in the political echo chamber of liberal university campuses has internalized that message, well, that remains to be seen.